Hey, good morning, Living Water. I want to start back on our Devos today. This is Monday, June the 1st. Man, we're already in June. Let's see what God does. We are going to begin a reading plan as we started our sermon series yesterday entitled Breaking the Rules. It's Not What You Think. We're going to be going through the book of Galatians during this sermon series, and it may take us a little while, and I hope you'll join in with us, and whether you're watching at home or able to attend. Yesterday, being able to have people here in the building was really cool, and for those of you that felt comfortable, we were sure glad to see you. For those of you that's tuned in at home, man, we're just excited to have you a part of everything as well. But today we're going to start our devotions in the book of Galatians. So I'm going to do Galatians chapter 1, and then you'll see some familiar faces as we move through Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, and Colossians over the next few days. Again, we'll do a chapter a day. There's a lot of content in these books. A lot of our New Testament doctrine are found in these books, and we just want to just sort of take our time. But again, we'll do a chapter a day and see how we can work through this. But I've got Galatians chapter 1 today. So many thoughts in this. Use this as sort of an intro to the message yesterday. Paul is defending himself as an apostle because there were people, the Judaizers, who are coming out of Israel, out of Jerusalem, and coming up to these churches where Paul is teaching that salvation is by grace, and they're trying to discredit Paul by saying he's not really an apostle, that he doesn't meet the criteria, all these different things. So Paul defends himself right off the bat and says, I'm not interested. I wasn't called by men. I was called by God. He then states his case and says, I'm astonished that you guys are being pulled away from the gospel and trying to add to it, trying to say that the gospel is grace plus works. It's not that. You don't have to obey the law and the rules of the Jewish Old Testament. You don't have to do that. It's just grace and grace alone for salvation. But I think the thought I want to share with you today, again, there's just so much in Galatians chapter 1. But in Galatians chapter 1, verse 10, as Paul is sort of wrapping up his defense for this book and why he's writing this letter to the churches in Galatia, he says this. He says, am I now trying to win the approval of men or of God? Or am I trying to please men? If I were still trying to please men, I would not be a servant of Christ. You know, I think where that hits me so strong, and I've got one of my old Bibles that I leave on my desk, and I've got notes and stuff where I've done quiet times and read over the years and studied through things. And this particular verse I've got underlined in my Bible, and it's such a reminder for me personally to ask myself, is what I'm doing every day, am I trying to please men or am I trying to please God? Because if I'm trying to please other people, and it doesn't mean to be rude, it doesn't mean to be crude, and man, there's been so much in my life where I've been that, and I've been the sarcastic guy, and I've been a smart aleck, and it was just to cover my own flaws and my own insecurities and my own mistakes. But I want to be a servant of God, and I'm not talking about trying to please men in those sort of ways. I'm talking about trying to please God. I don't want to be the arrogant jerk who says, I don't care what men think. I do. I want people to see in me a love for Jesus that is genuine. But I am most interested in what God thinks about my life more than anything else. So that particular thought for me, as I read over Galatians 1 again this morning, just reminded me that every single day, and the term may be so overused in Christian world nowadays, but we have an audience of one. Do we want to please God in our daily things? Well, if we're going to please God, we're going to please God by loving Him. And don't forget this. He says the greatest command is to love God. And the one that's just like it is to love others as yourself. So really the way that I treat each other, living in the society we live in today, especially in the racial tension that we're seeing today, how are we loving other people? Maybe ask yourself today as you read Galatians chapter 1, in pleasing God, you'll be loving men. What area in your life? What area in your life is an area that you struggle with? Maybe there's people in your life that you struggle with and said, I have a hard time loving them, or they've done something to me. Maybe not a particular group of people, but an individual person, whatever it may be. And then ask yourself, am I trying to please God in the way that I live, in the way that I love, in the way that I treat people? Dig into it. You may get something completely different out of Galatians chapter 1. That's where God led me today. I pray that you're challenged through it, that you have a great day. Look forward to you tuning into these Devos and reading along with us. Man, we're excited to be able to gather again. We love you.